New on Curiosity Stream.
I'm James Burke. I'm going to take you on a journey through time.
James Burke's visionary series returns, reimagined for our time.
Now, this is all uncharted territory.
The Washington Post hails Burke as one of the most intriguing minds in the Western world. The New York Times raves he careens from one great moment in history to another.
Where do we want to go from here?
Experience all new Connections.
So what's the next connection?
With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
So, let me get this straight. The doors have closed on these Spider-Man talks right now? So, there's no negotiation at this point between Sony and Disney. You know, this stuff gets a little bit more petty by the minute. It's getting to that point of why Fox wouldn't work with Disney until Disney bought them out. You know, because they wanted to shift to the more political and sports way of doing things. You know what? I am at that point right now where I just see too much foolishness on a daily basis. It's like, why do I even carry on? It's like, really, why do I look at this crap? Because it's up to me to talk about it, that's why. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, other than to go ahead and start this program. So, welcome to the J-Man Show here on
J360 Radio.
Hey, what's going on, J360 Legion?
New on Curiosity Stream. How do you connect a 16th century potato to limitless energy production? Could Napoleon's toothpick have a direct link to a machine that predicts the future? And how can a 1700s conch shell chart a course to humans connecting their brains to the internet? James Burke's visionary series Connections returns for a new generation. Experience all new Connections. With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
Welcome to the J-Man Show, here for episode 116. I am your host, J.M. Brady, a.k.a. the J-Man, of course. And yes, we are still on that road. We are about to hit... Actually, we are 4 episodes away from hitting 120. But, you know, I'm still fighting for that main goal to reach 200. Now, the question is, can I reach 200 before the 4th anniversary of this said series? Tall order, but not entirely impossible. Because you know why? You see, a couple of double specials here and there, and it might be easier within reach. Or maybe I can unleash one of those triple plays on you. It's debatable to see where I go from here. Of course, I'm going to have to scale back because my scholarly pursuits. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back in higher learning. And I'm going to have fun doing it. Because I got real hope for these courses that I'm taking now. It's going to add to my skill set, and I'll be able to work in other markets. And the future's big and bright. That's all I can say. The only thing about it is that sometimes... Whereas, like, things are going right for you, you can see where other parts in the world that it's not nearly the same for them. Like, I have an associate, and she was falling all to pieces, you know? Like, she had a part where she was on social media crying and talking about, like, how life hasn't been working out too well and all that kind of stuff, especially around this time. And I gotta understand, because, you see, you know, summertime is hard for people because of body image. But you know, like, when it's fall going into wintertime, you got the holidays there, everybody's bringing their significant other and all this other stuff. Yeah, I can see where that's a problem. I mean, yeah, I think they said that at one time the holidays had the highest suicide rate because everybody had someone to spend time with, except for certain people out there. And yes, loneliness is a very, very interesting conundrum. I mean, it tells you a lot about yourself. Because, see, you spend a lot of time sitting there moping and feeling that guilt complex or feeling like, you know, things have passed you by because you decided to revel in your comfort zone, or worse, you made it into a comfort zone. I remember being in middle school and that happened, you know? Like, I had a hard time meeting people. You know what I'm saying? Even during, like, social parties and all that kind of stuff, it just wasn't fun. And this is when I was a kid. See, the fortunate thing about it is a lot of my stuff I dealt with as a kid. But I had to pull myself out of it because, the way the personality is, like right now talking to you, that was there. You see what I'm saying? But I didn't fully develop it yet. It's something I had to work on and really get to the top about. There are moments where I struggle a little, but, not entirely anymore. And then I look at her and, I was like, well, hey, you sound like you need somebody to chill with you and talk to you for a little bit. So, I decided to level with her, let her know what's going down. Like, it's really about mindset of how you got to a certain point. And you see, if you keep thinking that you're down, you're going to stay down. If you keep thinking that you don't belong anywhere, you're not going to be anything, you're not going to achieve much, you won't even get Prince Charming or Princess, whatever the hell you want to call that scenario. I never really think about it because most of the girls I go after, they're not princesses per se, they're queens. And then sometimes they're just Amazons because they're always in something, doing a lot of action things here and there. And I just look at them like, yeah, I got a thing for powerful women. Guess because I'm a powerful man, but you know how that goes. You know how that goes. But see, as I see what I see, and like she was really going to pieces about it. It's so easy to be in that frame of mind because of isolation. It's hard. Like, it takes a lot of cord cutting and a lot of willpower, and she didn't have it. But I had to try to calm her down a little bit because you know why, right? See, once you start thinking too much, then comes, that thought about wiping yourself out. Like you don't matter to anything. But you got to always remember this. And I'm going to say this for any of you in the J360 Legion out there. You all do matter. You matter in so many ways and so many forms. It's really selfish to want to just end it all and cut yourself off and things like that, no matter how hard it gets. Remember, you're in the school. You're a student of J-Man, to be honest with you. Handle it J-Man style. The world is my bitch. That is how I've always been after middle school. I can pretty much do what I need to do. Yeah, you may not like it. You may not agree with me, but that's your problem. I'm here. And until it's time for me to go, or when I finally croak and become worm chow, you're going to deal with it. And even then, this stuff is archived. So you can listen to it anytime you want to. Which, by the way, I make sure that it is possible for you to do that. See, I'm not going out like that. There are ways and there are days where I don't feel like, my utmost best. There are days where, I'm not like, super J-Man, to be honest with you. There are days where I'm just like, low key, chilling out, trying to figure out how to make it through a world gone mad, wondering what people are hypersensitive about this week. Because it might be saying, hey, I like the black keys, but then they're like, oh, so you don't like white keys? Is that the problem now? Is that, and all this other crap, when they try to pull you into like some hurricane conversation that doesn't make no sense, or try to make a complete non-issue out of things, like saying how Joaquin Phoenix's version of the Joker is the best Joker of all time they see, because, we'll never get that Heath Ledger Joker again. Though he comes pretty close, but I mean still. People nowadays will find things to go ahead and gripe about, to complain about, and to latch on to, even if there is no merit to it. It's gotten even worse now with social media. And you see, while I can commend somebody or any of y'all for speaking out on social media, and I mean, I've done it before too. I used to do it all the time. But there are times where you got to peel back a little bit because, you see, those people who listen nowadays, they don't just listen anymore. They just yell at people. They go ahead and they try to find their narrative and they try to shoehorn that in, and then got the nerve to want to make you feel a lot worse than you were. And then it's like, oh, you're stifling them down because they're out here complaining and stuff like that. Let me tell you this. People need to vent. People need to get that stuff off their chest, and they need to say what they need to say. And you got to be mature enough to handle it, because it might be about you or it might not be. Believe me, I've dealt with a situation where I really railed on people. You know what I'm saying? And they just could not handle the truth about themselves. That's my truth about you. You deal with it. You see what I'm saying? It's one of those many reasons why, I look at certain friendships that I have and I'm like, I evaluate them all. And it's like, Whether to continue on hanging out with this person or not, totally my call, and I have enough power on it. And then at that point, leave them out to the wild. You do not have to roam with them. And if you are isolated, question yourself on why you're isolated. Why did you isolate yourself? What put you in that situation? Are you depressed about something? Are you sad about something? Are you afraid that these people that you probably will meet or some of your greatest friends out there will hurt you? Well, here's the thing, all right? We all hurt each other. But the worst person that we hurt is ourselves. But these people out here, they're going to hurt you. They're going to find some way to let you down. I've noticed this about other people because they go through similar problems we do. Similar, not the same, just similar. They will always do this kind of stuff. And it gets worse when you get older because, you see, when you get older, people get into jobs and careers and then power plays and all this other kind of stuff. And they try to outdo one another. Now it's all of a sudden a big giant circle jerk. And it is ridiculous. Like, you look at them. Like, in my 30s, I see more and more cutthroat behavior than I saw in my 20s, than I saw in my late teens. And it's all over nothing. Or it could be because of money, or because, hey, you live in a housing district, or you live in a small studio apartment, or you live anywhere. As long as you're living somewhere, you're paying the bill, and you got the lights on, what the hell does it matter? In the grand structure of things. Remember when it used to be like that? You held your own, you did what you had to do, and then that was enough for people. But you see, I don't know if I could blame this on social media or I could just blame it on reality TV. But one way or another, like, some of these institutions out here brought it out that, hey, you should go beyond your means. You should go ahead and do all this other stuff that you can't pay for. Go buy that expensive car where the insurance will rob you blind left and right. Or go on ahead and date this individual out here whose priorities are not just on, the hedonistic aspects of life, but in other ways where, you can't afford it. Or go ahead and rob you blind, one of the two. And it's not to say that all people are out there are bad or have this mindset, but there's quite a lot of them that are not mature enough. So you got to figure out which one is going to be actually dealing with you. And by the way, I don't know. I think I'm starting to get the sniffles. I hope not, because I hate that part of the season, where you start getting that kind of stuff. So then you start sneezing everywhere, and I got time for that, bro. I do not have time for that. But, like, going back into how people are really, really messed up right now. And, you look at PC culture, the cancel culture, or woke culture, whatever the hell you want to call them. I just call them annoyances. You look at the annoyances out here and you see, like, they complain and scream about everything, especially when it's something that they done did wrong. You point that out to them, you show, like, how they've done something wrong. Keep hitting them with that. Eventually they'll get it. But the thing about it is, don't stop doing what makes you unique. If you're out here telling jokes, like, for me, okay, earlier in the day before I started doing the J-Man show, I used to do a lot of comedy because my life was getting really, really serious. So I had to go ahead and speak, I make fun of life. I wanted to make my lifestyle a lot more lighthearted, and I had to work on that. That's why I tell jokes. And you see, the problem is some people can't handle the idea of being made fun of, so they figure, you shouldn't be acting like that. Yet at the same time, they don't mind trying to make fun of you and trying to put you down and all that crap. You see what I'm saying? And then you hit them back. Then all of a sudden, now you done went too far. It's kind of like, how we always had a drug issue in this country, but because certain individuals are starting to show up on that radar, now it's a crisis. Crazy, right? It gets better. Stick around. I mean, and you can go ahead and look and see how people are talking about equality. Yeah, I don't think our country, or no. I don't think our society as a whole knows what equality is. I think they know what special treatment is. I think they know what, hey, praise me because I need that validation. I think they know what that is. But they have no idea what equality is. See, like I said before about making fun, If you're making fun of something and somebody else makes fun of that same something, see, that's equality. If you talk about me and all of my mannerisms and ways I do things, and I talk about you all the way down to the point where you will crap yourself after I'm done, see, that's equality too. You see, because we're both taking jabs at each other. And you see, I work with somebody who cannot handle criticism. So afraid of somebody talking about him, so afraid of any sort of other responsibility outside of, quote, his own, but he's the laziest fool back there. It's amazing to actually see him do any work. But he's so insecure, and you're like, how did this guy get in a position of power if he ain't suckled his way up to the top for it? You know what I'm saying? All you gotta do is kiss up somebody, I guarantee they'll bring you upstairs. You know? And you see, you don't want to be that kind of person. You want to be somebody that's respected, give respect back. You want to be somebody that's respected, has some validation and some character, do something regardless of what people ask you. Just go ahead and be like that. That's what you want. But you see, I'll never respect somebody like that in any sort of capacity, let alone being an authority of something. I'll be like looking at you, I'll make fun of you all the time at that point. Because I don't care, and I'm well in my 30s and stuff, and I'm comfortable with myself. You can say anything about me you want. I know what I am, and I know what I'm not. So it is what it is. And you see, because of that mentality I have, our society don't like that. They want to control you. They want you to keep on investing in things that you don't need because it keeps them relevant, and it keeps you in the loop of their control. You see? It's crazy. But when it comes to feeling, and see, when you have feelings of hopelessness, isolation, all these other things that people will mock you for, like if you're trying to date somebody, people will mock you for that. If you're not dating anybody, people will mock you for that. There's so many reasons and things of why people act the way they do, and most of the time it's because of insecurity and fear, and it's because something's wrong with them. And they just will not mind their own damn business. And it shows. Like, when it comes to those people holding down a straight pride parade, which at the same time really didn't get talked about like anything, because, everybody was so bracing for Hurricane Dorian. It was talked about earlier when they went through the diplomatic process to get that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yes, that was a thing. The whole thing about Boston. And unfortunately, that was it. And then you look and see all these strong, predominantly white men walking down the road with a Trump float next to them. They talk about normalcy must return. Man, I fell out laughing. I was looking at this stuff. And you see, the funny thing is you can put any sort of background music in there. Like, you could take something like Dancing Queen, put it right in the background, or YMCA, or It's Raining Men. Any of that stuff if you really wanted to. But you see, a lot of people were making fun of him because they said these incels, the small penis army and all this other crap. I was like, yo, chill the hell out, man. That's a little on the nose. Some of these people, you don't know. They might be married. They might be divorced. They might be anything. I mean, they feel as though that they're standing up for what is right, and they went about the diplomatic process to do it. It's not like they all just gathered together and said, yeah, we're gonna march down this street, and we're gonna go ahead and try to say it's about being straight. It's in the Bible. Oh, remember the Bible. It's not like you did not expect this coming. I mean, I had a feeling that it was going to happen eventually, but I didn't expect to see it look like that, but it wasn't really as huge as you thought it was. Like, I mean, you can look at the footage and see, like, certain people are going to be about that. Some people are afraid to say in their view that they view homosexuality as wrong and march out there. But everybody else wants to be on that side of whoever's winning. You know what I mean? Strength in numbers. But the fact that they went on that parade, people were upset. And I was looking at it and I was like, yo, hey, the gay pride parades have been happening for quite some time. I mean, the whole month of June is for gay pride month, right? I mean, granted, those same straight people probably can't get a whole month to themselves because, well, July is all about being patriotic, and August is, well, August is pretty much what they had, and they had the last week of August. Do you know what goes on in the last week of August? Getting ready for school. or going back to school or doing so many other things. That last week is booked. The fact that they managed to get at least a little bit of airtime and on Twitter, that's saying something. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's funny to laugh at them. And you know, of course I will, because the whole thing is stupid. Like, everybody's out here walking around having parades and crap, or they go ahead and they protest and they do all these things that we, either waste money on or get nothing out of. And then you look to see, like, where we are in terms of equality, and people are mad because the other side, the opposition, is having a little festival. Do you not know that back in the day, the Klan used to have parades and crap? But you see, the problem is that in the grand scheme of equality and things, unfortunately, yeah, that's true equality. The law is supposed to protect both sides, people like you and me, and a-holes like them. That's true equality, no matter whether you like it or not. Now, if you're going to go ahead and be special treatment about this crap, then yeah, okay, prevalence before everything. Yeah, you know, your whole ideals and everything should go before that person, because guess what? That's special treatment. And if you're the special one, I mean, you're going to feel threatened to your resolve if somebody else, especially your opposition, gets that before you do. And you see, that happens in this country all the time. It happens in no matter what social group, race group, sexual orientation group, it doesn't really matter. But that's the mindset of people, because a lot of these people did not grow up with such opposition. A lot of these people grew up with, you're so special. You can do any and everything you want. You are going to be okay. Oh, wait, you're not so good at that sport you like? Guess what? Next year, I'm going to make you captain because I'm going to talk to the coach. Yes. Instead of you working hard for it, or I find you a trainer, I'm going to go ahead and talk to the coach, because the coach should not put my child on that needs development. Shouldn't be about you being developed. You're already developed. You're going to be something great. I know it. And then the 11th place participation trophy, all that kind of, that coddling is just really what kills it. I mean, I can understand, you know, it's nice to get an award, but much like anything, you really want to work hard enough to get that gold award. You really want to work hard enough to get up there to that stuff. Like when I got the Dean's List those multiple times, I mean, I busted my ass. I was working in something that I was really, really passionate about. You know, creating stories and different worlds for people, while at the same time telling a story. Not so much the reality subtext in the story, or you know, but just giving you something to help inspire you, while at the same time taking you away from reality, because guess what? Reality can be a real pit hole sometimes, and it hardly ever works out, but you do what you can so that you can make it happen. And see, a lot of people don't try to make stuff happen. A lot of people try to just loft through life, waft around, and something doesn't work out, or any sort of opposition, oh, they either fall apart or they go into a depressive phase. And see, going into a depressive phase, it's hard because you might not have that one person behind you say, you know what, this does not define you, move on to chapter 2, let's just keep on carrying on here. Because you know, I didn't do so hot this summer, right? Remember when I told you that? That was last episode. So, you know what I did? Got over it and bounced the F back, and here I am now. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing for, like, you know, me dealing with that love interest I got. I'm playing it day by day. And not playing it to the point where, you know, I'm not serious. Oh, I'm serious because I put the cards on the table. But the thing about it is that I carry on. Whether it succeeds or whether it passes, I mean, that's just, it's really depending on the fate at the time, and 9 times out of 10, I don't really gain or lose anything. I'm still alive and kicking. Just got to do what I got to do. I mean, it'll hurt like hell probably, because I really like this one. But the thing is that when it comes to certain circumstances, you got to step up. You got to play the game. You got to think about your resolve. What do you really like? What are you into? What makes you unique? And really be honest with yourself about this, because you're going to sit there and think, oh, I'm not unique. But you are. You got the chance. You got the skill set. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Right? Like, it's kind of like me being a filmmaker. Yeah, everybody's got something to say. It's hard to make money as a filmmaker. It's hard to make money as anything. I mean, you think about it. Like, even as a cashier in retail, which is that associate I was telling you about, her job. She was like, oh, I got a job as a cashier, big whoop. I'm like, that is good. When you have a job, I mean, for a while there, I would love to get a cashier's job because guess what? It was a commodity at one time. Because, see, how can I put this? Things are evolving at a fast rate. And see, now what you got self-checkout and you got all these other different alternatives to checking out. I mean, like some places have where you can check out through an app on your phone and then cashiers are not there. You know what I mean? They're trying to wipe that job out. But if you have that kind of a job, that's a good stepping stone for you. Same thing with merchandising. It shouldn't be a career for you unless you like it. But even then, you should always look towards leveling up. And then you go ahead and you work on your skill set. Like if you're a great artist or whatever, I mean, keep working on that on the side. I mean, use Instagram unless they shadow ban you, which I hope not. But you keep just working on ways and finding that passion and going for it a little bit. Because nowadays they'll say this on blog sites. They'll say, oh, you should not follow your passion. That's not good advice to give people. You really shouldn't do that, though. Yeah. You should stay in the job you hate because that's important. Who the hell is calling these shots after a while? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get it. It doesn't always work out for everyone, but the mindset. The mind is the most powerful thing that a human has. And if you really know how to use it right, which means, getting it away from things that clutter it up, trying to stay away from diluted ideas and look at ideas that don't work out and just be like, all right, we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, read some more. Like, don't delve into just the top 3 TV networks. Just see, like, if there's something you don't like and see what you can make a change about. Or read up on Amazon Prime and their distribution platform, along with Netflix's distribution platform. There's so many ways to make things work. And the truth is, you can go ahead and tell me about digital filmmaking. You can tell me about filmmaking back in the past. You can tell me, like, oh, it's hard to do this. It's hard to do that unless you're working for Disney. And I will look you in the eye and I'll say, I'll take that bet. I will look right at you and be like, I got my scripts. I got my stories. I got this team that backs me up when the time is right. And then I'm always looking for new people to be a part of staffing. As I build this thing, as I get where I need to be, it's an adventure. This whole thing's a journey. But when people come in to dump down their pain and their fears, that's their problem. When you dump yourself down, that is you doing it to yourself. Not anybody else out here making it. And if you see somebody on YouTube or any of these social networks, or they pop up on any of these things that you like, whether it's an advertisement or not, well, that just proves it. That could have been yours. Or you see somebody with somebody that you had your eye on or any of that other stuff, once again, could have been yours. But you messed yourself up listening to everybody else. Society doesn't even know what it wants to do. And you can tell because you can see all the arguments about it. Like, not just Republicans and Democrats, but siblings, parents, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, boyfriends, whoever's being cuckolded this week. The list goes on. And have you noticed that all those roles I've mentioned, they all talk about the same thing. How much money they make. Or how horrible their job is. Or, I think my girlfriend or significant other's cheating on me. Or all this other stuff. Or who's going to win the football game this coming week. Which I would love to say the Eagles are going to win. And not only that, welcome back football. But still, it's the same conversation over and over again. And it gets annoying. And keep in mind, sometimes isolating yourself isn't bad in small doses because people are draining and can be. And if you find yourself being alone, well, find some sort of hobby that you like to do alone and go do that. Like for me, it's video games. Not going to lie. I love that stuff. Or punching my punching bag, going to go exercise, or hell, just turning on some classical music and reading a book. Doesn't matter what type. And speaking of which, I'm going to have to do that whole thing where I get away from it all for a little while and go on another solo quest. But I'll let you all know when I'm about to do that. But hey, I mean, how you live your life is a lot different from how I live my life and how we all function in this society. As long as we can get out of each other's way, then we might be better people. Might be. Because there's still a moment of dysfunction in this whole thing. And that's when you sit here and you're like looking at all this and you hope that you don't lose your faith in people, but you still got that mentality that leads to a jaded paradox. And when you have that sort of scenario going on, you want to help, but you don't want to stick around to help. And then you see how far gone people are, and then you wonder whether to cut them off or not. But at the risk of going against everything you said. But you see, the thing about it is, I gave you so many parallels and so many byways to take. How far will you go? And the thing about me is, I know when to leave, and I know when to not be around certain friends, and then I know when certain friends are not friends anymore, and I'm totally okay with it because I can and will let anyone go at any time. Because it's not about me, and they're not a part of my adventure anymore. But first things first, you got to get yourself right. See what I'm saying? Well, other than that, though, I talked your ear off enough, and that's episode 116. And needless to say, folks, let's see, we'll get back into talking about movies for episode 117 because we got a lot to get into. And you see, as I am working on stuff for J360 TV, you're going to hear about at least the first 3 shows that are going to be for it. And then maybe you guys can give me some feedback on whether or not you like the pitches. Huh? Sound like fun? All right. Oh, by the way, if you want to ask me any sort of questions, you want to talk to me about anything, email me, j360productions@outlook.com, or leave a voicemail on the hotline, which is 240-903-1634. Outside of all that, though, I want you all to take it easy, take care of yourselves. This is the J-Man signing off. Peace.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more. Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.